Hello and welcome to Baking on a Budget. Now this time we have this delicious orange cake recipe. This is a really simple cake to make, very inexpensive and always absolutely delicious. Now we've got all the stuff over here. I'm going to run through the quantities of that and how much all of this costs. So to begin with, we have 3 eggs, which is 39 pence. The eggs, I do get 15 of them for £1.99 from the local Asda, making them about 13 pence each. So 3 eggs, 39 pence. We have 150 grams of sugar, which is 18 pence. We have 120 ml of vegetable oil at 24 pence. We have 2 oranges at 50 pence. We have 220 grams of flour at 12 pence. We have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder at 8 pence. And for the icing for this, we have 70 grams of icing sugar. Now, if we put all that together, the total cost of this cake is £1.69. We're going to get 7 servings out of that. So each serving of this beautiful, delicious orange cake is 24 pence. Now, let's get to it. All right, first things first, we want these 3 eggs just cracked into our bowl. 1, 2, and 3. And to that, we're going to add this 150 grams of sugar. Now, I'm going to whisk this with an electric hand whisk. Can be done by hand, but I'm going to use the electric whisk and get that really nicely combined. Lots of air in there to make a delicious cake. And this is just a couple of minutes with the electric hand whisk. That will do it. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare the oranges. 2 oranges here, and what we want is the zest from the orange and we want the juice. So first thing to do is get that beautiful orange zest off there. It's just a small grater I'm using for this. There we are, the orange is zested. Just take that off the back of the grater and I will set this aside for later. So the next thing for the oranges is we want the juice from them. So I shall cut them in half and squeeze the juice out. Right, there's the juice from one, and we'll do the other one exactly the same. There we are. Beautiful, freshly squeezed orange juice. Okay, so the next thing which goes in here is the vegetable oil. Now this is indeed a sunflower oil which I'm using, and there is 120 millilitres of it. And we just want to beat that in. I got myself a new whisk. Someone was very kind and donated some money to the channel for a new whisk when the old one broke, and I got this one. It's actually much more substantial, and that's good. And I thank you very much for that, by the way. Right, get that mixed in there, and to that I'm going to add the majority of this orange zest, but I'm going to keep some back for the icing which goes on the top of this. I've used about 3/4 of it in there, and that would be the same with the orange juice. I'm going to put some of that in there, but I'm going to keep some back for the icing also. Right, once more, mix all of that in. Looking very good. Smells delicious as well. I'm going to make a little pouring custard to go with this. There is a recipe here where I made a golden syrup cake, and in that recipe I also went through how I make the pouring custard. So if you would like a nice custard to go with this recipe, that's where you'll find it. Okay, so next we have 220 grams of flour. This is plain flour, and to it I'm going to add some of this baking powder. I'm going to add 1, 2 and a half, if I can get a half out of there. 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. I'll just sieve that into the bowl, and I'm going to fold that in with the spoon until that is a nice smooth batter. Now you may be able to hear I also have the oven coming up to temperature in the background there, because as I say, this cake comes together really quickly. This is indeed it. As soon as we've got this nice and smooth, it's time to get it in the oven. And whilst it's baking, we'll make the icing for the top of this. Right, that's looking good. I'll just finish that off with a whisk. Absolutely marvellous. Okay, we have a 2-pound loaf tin, which I have greased and put the tab of greaseproof paper on the bottom, just so we can pull that out nice and easily. Now, what we want to do is get all of this into the tin. And there it is. Okay, so this is going into an oven at 180 degrees centigrade. That's in a conventional oven, a little bit cooler if you have a fan oven, and the conversions into Fahrenheit and gas mark are in the description below this video. But it's going to sit in there for about 40 to 45 minutes. After the first 35 minutes, I'll keep an eye on it, give it the skewer test, and as soon as we have a nice clean skewer coming out of that, that's going to be ready to go. And as the cake is baking in the oven, we're going to get on to make the icing for this. There I have 75 grams of icing sugar or confectioner's sugar. To that, I'm going to add the rest of this, and then I'm going to add the orange juice just a little bit at a time. We don't want to make this too runny, because the icing sugar does go fairly runny fairly quickly. Okay, and a whole load of mixing later. And there we have it. Now that's a fairly nice consistency. I will put this in the fridge and it'll thicken up a little more, and then we will drizzle that over the top of the cake once it's out of the oven. Okay, and just over 45 minutes later, we have this beautiful cake, clean skewer, done to a turn. I'm going to let this cool down a little bit. I've made some beautiful pouring custard for it. Then we're going to look at the texture of this, have a taste of it. It's going to be beautiful. And we also have the icing to spread over the top here. So let's let it cool down a little first. That's had a chance to cool a little. I say a little. And what I'm going to do is just spread this beautiful orange icing on the top of this. That's looking good. Okay, look at this. Beautiful orange cake. Look at the texture of that. Nice and soft. Smells absolutely beautiful. And as I say, I've got a little bit of the pouring custard on here. Now, without the custard, just the cake, that is 24 pence a slice. And that is a substantial slice. So let's taste it. That's beautiful. Just taste that orange coming through. Yes. And as I say, very easy to make. That must have took, what, all of 5 minutes to put together. Obviously there's a baking time involved, but very quick recipe to bring together. Absolutely delicious. If you like trying different types of cake and stuff like that, give this one a go. Now, can I say, if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Look at that. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And many more recipes like this to come in the future. Simple recipes, always delicious, very inexpensive at 24 pence a slice for this delicious orange cake. If you would like to see more recipes of that nature, budget meals, I'm going to be making some more breads in the future, do consider subscribing to the channel. There will be a new recipe every Wednesday, and I'm going to do some seasonal recipes with the, you know, the winter kicking in, Christmas coming along. I'll hunt out some old seasonal recipes and see if we can put them together. But in the meantime, see, there's not much left. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this orange cake, and as ever, I thank you very much for watching.